The muscle tissue is also of three important types. It is nothing but the skeletal muscle tissue, the smooth muscle tissue, and the cardiac muscle tissue. So these intercalated discs are very, very important because they act like communication junctions, transferring signals from one cell to the other cell. So the dendrites are the ones which actually sense the stimuli or sense the information, and these dendrites are the ones that actually pass it to the myelin sheath. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to today's session on chapter 7, that is structural organization in animals. I'm Dr. Divya, biology faculty with Vyashram Pre-University College, Mysore, Temple of Excellence. So in the previous session, we had studied about one important type of tissue, that is the connective tissue. And in the connective tissue, we studied about three types of connective tissue, that is the loose connective tissue, the dense connective tissue, and the specialized connective tissues. So today's class, we shall concentrate on the muscle tissues, the neural tissues, and the organ system. We shall start learning about the muscle tissues. So whenever we do a physical activity, that is excess physical activity, taking too much of strain, all of a sudden the next day the muscle starts to ache, right? We feel, our complete body feels the pain. So why is that pain? It is because of the too much physical activity, such as be it running, jogging, or dancing, or playing any sport or any other physical activity. Our muscles get strained. How does it get strained? Because it results in the contraction and the expansion of the muscle. So therefore the muscles, they tend to tear and wear, and because of this tear and wear, the pain is felt throughout the body wherever the muscles are being situated. We usually complain after a physical activity, right? My muscle is aching here, it is aching there, all that. That is because of the contraction and also because of the expansion of the muscles or the wear and tear that is taking place in the muscles. And muscles are the important tissues of a body which mainly help in the movement. So in this session, we shall see what these muscle tissues are. So each muscle is made up of very long cylindrical fibers, and these cylindrical fibers are arranged parallel to one another. So they are fibrous in nature, and because they are fibrous and they contain collagen present in them, and because of this they are able to expand and contract according to our body movements. And these fibers, they are composed of numerous amount of compounds called as the fine fibrils, and these fine fibrils are nothing but the myofibrils. The myo is something related to the muscle, and they are made up of fine fibrils, and therefore they are called as the myofibrils. And the muscle fibers, they contract in response to a stimulation. So the best example is movement. So when you move, say for example, I'm moving my hand. So when I'm folding my hand, the muscles relax. When I'm moving, when I'm stretching my hand, it contracts. So therefore, based on the movement, the muscle fibers, they usually contract in response to a stimuli. They contract and then they relax and then they return to their normal position. Even a heart muscles, for example, it always keeps beating. So when the beating occurs, the heart expands, it contracts, expands, it contracts. Do you know why it is? It is because of the cardiac muscles that are present in them. So therefore, based on the response to a stimuli, be it walking, running, or whatever, the muscles, based on the movement, they contract and relax and they come back to their normal position. So that is, they come back to their uncontracted state in a coordination fashion. It is always in a coordination fashion. It is not a haphazard movement or something, but it is quite, the movement of the fibers that are present in the muscles are quite coordinated. So it is a coordinated fashion of movement, and their action actually moves the body to adjust to the changes. So sometimes we sit in different positions on a chair, right? We walk differently, we run, we skip, we jog. So all these, according to a body movement, the muscles also move. It's just like how you wear a jean pant. So which kind of jean pant is comfortable for you, which blends with your body or your legs, and however you move your legs, it should not create a strain in your leg, right? The jean pants that you're wearing should move along. How, if you sit in any position or however you're sitting, it should be able to mold itself in the position you want. Similarly, the action or the movement of the body also adjusts to like the changes in the environment. Say for example, you're sitting in any position, you're folding your hands, you're just stretching your hands, or you're putting your hands, when you do yoga poses, you put your hands behind the back. So any way you're able to mold or turn your body, and all that is possible because of the muscle. So therefore the action of the muscle actually helps in the movement of the body and in response to changes in the environment, and also it helps to maintain position of the various parts of the body. So it helps to maintain the position. So if you're folding your hand, again there is a fold being created. So any kind of movement that is happening in the body is always controlled by the muscles. So here the muscle tissue is also of three important types. It is nothing but the skeletal muscle tissue, the smooth muscle tissue, and the cardiac muscle tissue. The skeletal muscle tissue, those muscle tissues which are attached to the bones or the skeletal framework, it is nothing but the skeletal muscle tissues. And those muscle tissues that are present in the digestive tracts, that is the intestine and all, that is the smooth muscle tissue. And those muscle tissues that are present in the heart, it is the cardiac muscle tissue. So we shall study each of these one by one. So first, the skeletal muscle tissue. So skeletal muscle tissues are the tissues that are closely attached to the bones. So when you're moving your hand along with the bones, that is the joints usually move. Will the other bones get separated? No, they are held together by the skeletal muscle tissues. And also apart from that, the skeletal muscle tissues also help in easy movement of the hands, the legs, and all that. So they are closely attached to the skeletal bones. And in the skeletal muscle tissue, such as the biceps, striated muscles, the striated skeletal muscles, and also they are bundled together in a parallel fashion. So they are bundled together in a parallel fashion. So these skeletal muscle tissue, they are usually present in the biceps. So our biceps, then our triceps, our abs, and our calf muscles of the legs, all these are the skeletal muscle tissues. So how are they attached to each other? They are attached by the help of striated or striped skeletal muscles, muscle fibers, and they are arranged in a, or they are packed together, or they are bundled together in a parallel fashion. What is striations? They are nothing but the stripes. Because these muscle fibers are arranged in the form of stripes, it is also called as striated muscle. So as you can see here, they are arranged in the form of stripes, and they have the dark bands that are being present, they have the light bands, they are made up of different bands or stripes or striations. So that is why it is also called as the striated muscles. And you can also see here the connective tissue. So connective tissue which holds all the other tissues together, connective tissue, and also the sarcolemma, then the nucleus of the tissue, and the sarcoplasm. So all these are the skeletal, this is a structure of the skeletal muscle tissue, wherein it is made up of the skeletal muscle fibers which are arranged in the form of striations or stripes, and they are bundled together, or they are packed together in a parallel fashion. And there is a sheath of tough connective tissue that is also present in the skeletal muscle tissue, which bundles all the muscle fibers together. So if all the muscle fibers have to come together and form a tissue, then it is the connective tissue that actually helps it to do so. This is about the skeletal muscle tissue. So skeletal muscle tissue, we can touch and feel it, right? We can touch and feel it. But apart from these, there are certain tissues that are present inside our body on certain organs which cannot be seen. But what are those? We shall see. So we have the muscle one of the muscle tissue, which is the smooth muscle tissue. So here in smooth muscle tissue, they usually have tapering ends, that is the ends are pointed. So say for example, if you just take the one particular muscle tissue here, muscle fiber, if you just take in this particular case, they have tapering ends at the corners. So all these together they join to form the smooth muscle tissue. So they have tapering ends at the corner, the ends are tapered. So you can see they have tapering ends. So the fibers, they taper. So all these are nothing but fibers. So all the fibers, they come together and then they form this particular, no matter in all the muscles, in any of the muscle tissue, all the fibers come together and collectively they form the muscle tissue. In this case, I'm talking about the smooth muscle tissue. So they are fibers which taper at both the ends, wherein they are fused, that is they have a fusiform shape, means they are fused at both the ends, they are jointed at both the ends and they do not show striations. So the main difference between the smooth muscle tissue and the skeletal muscle tissue is that skeletal muscle tissue is also called as a striated muscles because they have striations being present, or stripes. They are made up of muscle fibers which are arranged in stripes or in striations. But in the case of smooth muscle tissue, no striations are present, and the cell junctions are the ones which hold them together. So cell junctions we have studied in the previous session. So these cell junctions, they hold them together and they bundle all these fibers together through a connective tissue sheet. So all the fibers, how they are connected to each other to form a complete muscle tissue, it is through the connective tissue. So it is one of the important cell junctions are important here, and also the connective tissue sheets are important, and they are usually present in the wall of the internal organs such as the blood vessels and the stomach and the intestine. So the blood vessels, the stomach and the intestine all contain this type of muscle tissue, that is the smooth muscle tissue. And the smooth muscles, they are involuntary. And remember, the skeletal muscles are voluntary in nature, because skeletal muscles, you can decide when you need to contract them and when you need to relax them. If I'm holding my hand like this, it is according to my will. If I'm lifting my hand, it is according to my will. So according to my will, the muscles are moving there. According to the signal sent to the brain, the muscles are moving, and I'll be the one who's deciding how my muscles should move. It is under our control. So that is why they are voluntary. Voluntary means it is under our control. We are the decision makers there. But in the case of smooth muscle tissues or cardiac muscle tissue, the control is involuntary. We cannot control it. It is a continuous process which is as if it is programmed. It is a continuous process. If we think I need to stop my heart, I can't do that, right? Because it is not under my control, or I cannot control the muscles of the blood vessels, the stomach and the intestine. So what happens here is, even the smooth muscle tissue, they have a very important function. They help in sliding of the food. So whenever you take a food inside your mouth, it has to slide through the pharynx or through the esophagus, right? How does it slide? It is because these smooth muscles that are present in the pharynx pipe or the food pipe, they help in sliding of the, they just push the food through it. And also in the intestine, they are present. The movement of the substances or the products inside the intestine, all that, or the stomach, is all that is controlled by the smooth muscles. And smooth muscles are involuntary, as their function cannot be directly controlled by us. It cannot be controlled. But in the case of skeletal muscles, the functions can be controlled by us. So it mainly consists of the connective tissue, and it has the plasma lemma, the nucleus, because they are the cells. They have the sarcoplasm and they have the myofibrils. So myofibrils are all the myofibrils. They come together and they are held together by the connective tissue sheath. So that is the function of the smooth muscle tissue. The smooth muscle tissue are usually present in the blood vessels, in the stomach and the lining of the intestine and all that. So next, moving on to the one more kind of muscle tissue, that is the cardiac muscle tissue. As the name itself suggests, it is the tissues that is present in the heart. So it is a contractile tissue that is present only in the heart. So cardiac muscle tissue is present only in the heart, and here the cell junction, they fuse themselves to the plasma membrane of the cardiac muscle cells and make them stick together. So the cell junctions actually fuse each of the cells to the cardiac muscles and help them to stick together, and it is a communication junction. Why? Because at the point of fusion, the cells contract as they unite. So you know that as the cells contract, so this is contraction and expansion. So as the cells contract, they unite together, and as they expand, they separate from each other. So the heart contracts and relax. It contracts and relax in such a condition, right? So that is usually controlled by the cell junctions. So cell junctions also acts like communication junctions, wherein they have the intercalated discs that actually allows the cells to come together during the process, or joining of the cells together during the process of contraction, and they form a unit. That is what happens here is how they pass signals. When one cell receives a signal that it has to contract at this particular time, then it sends the same signals to the neighboring cells as well. That is when all the cells contract and all the cells relax. So that is why they are also called as the communication junctions. So the cardiac muscles, they act like communication junctions, wherein one cell of the cardiac muscle tissue, if it receives a signal that either it has to contract or it has to relax, then that signal it will pass to all the other neighboring cells, and therefore they function together in order to contract and to relax. So that is the function of the cardiac muscle tissue. So here we can see the cardiac muscle tissue. Again, it has the sarcolemma, the myofibrils, the nucleus. It has the nucleus and it has the intercalated disc. So these intercalated discs are very, very important because they act like communication junctions, transferring signals from one cell to the other cells as to whether the muscles have to contract or it has to relax. And there is the presence of the sarcoplasm. So these are the different types of structural units that are present in the components of the cardiac muscle tissue. So next, moving on to the nervous tissue or the neural tissue. So neural tissue, actually it is the one that controls a body. So if you want to walk at this right movement. How do you know that you need to walk? How the messages are sent to the brain? It is through the neural tissue. So neural tissue, it exerts, or it is the one that is responsible for controlling all the body's responsiveness to the changing condition. So there is a threat, you need to run away from something, or the best example, you just dip your hand inside hot water. So immediately it's your reflex action. You just take your hands off because you could feel that I need to remove my hand quickly because the water is hot. How do you think that the message was sent to your brain? It was through these neural tissues. So neural tissues are very, very important because all the movements that are happening in a body, even the opening of eyes and all those reflex action, if I have to say. So all these reflex actions or the body's responsiveness to external stimuli is actually controlled by the neural tissue. And the neural tissue is made up of several units of cells called as the neurons, and usually they are made up of two type of cells. One is the neural cells and one is the neuroglia. So they're made up of neurons, and the neurons are the main unit of the neural system, and these are the excitable cells. That is, whenever there is in response to external stimuli, these cells get excited, and the neurological cells which actually sends messages to different that is to the brain, so that we can function according to the message read by the brain. So these neurons, they are the unit of the neural system, and they are the excitable cells, and these and also they are made up of, I told you, they are made up of two types of cells, that is the neuron cell and the neuroglia cell. So neuron cells, they are the main unit of the neural system, and they are the excitable cells. And the neuroglia cells are the ones which constitutes the rest of the neural system, and their main function is to support and protect the neurons. The two types of cells, it is mainly made up of the neurons and the neuroglia. So when a neuron, it is subjected to any of the stimuli or external stimuli, and electric disturbance is being created. So this electric disturbance is actually carried to the plasma membrane. So that is how the signals are passed. So whenever a neuron, it is stimulated, because say for example, as I told you, you're putting your hand into hot water. What happens? First, the message will be taken by the neurons. The neurons will feel that the water is hot, and soon as it touches the water, the hand touches the water, the neuron will get stimulated. So when it gets stimulated, there will be a kind of a electrical disturbance that is occurring, and this electrical disturbance will be carried swiftly to the plasma membrane. So once plasma membrane of the cell, it will be carried, or the neural cell, and the neural endings, that is nothing but the dendrites in this case. So the dendrites are the ones which actually sense the stimuli or sense the information, and these dendrites are the ones that actually pass it to the myelin sheath, and that myelin sheath actually carries these to the brain, so that the brain will quickly make us respond to that particular stimuli. So once the message or the electric disturbance, it transports to the plasma membrane, the arrival of the disturbance at the neuron ending, it will cause a stimulation of inhibition. That is, it will very soon tell our brain saying that stop, the water is hot, remove your hand immediately. It is in a span of second. We won't even know. It is just like how the electric currents travels in very fast speed. Just like that, the messages will be sent in the form of electric currents, starting from the dendrites to that of the brain. So that is how they actually causes stimulation, or they causes inhibition of adjacent neurons and the other cells as well. Neural tissue, which consists of a neuron or a neural cell, it is made up of the neuron, and then it has the axon, and that particular axon is covered by a myelin sheath. Then it has the axon and the myelin sheath. So these, whatever signals are received by the cyton, first it will be received by the dendrites that are present, these branch-like structures. These dendrites send the signal to the cyton. So the cyton, it bears a nucleus, and it is a cell. Cyton is nothing but the cell of the neural cell. It is a neural cell. These cytons will send signal to the axons, which will be later received by the myelin sheath, and then it will be transported to make a body respond to a stimuli. So that is how the neural tissue actually works. So next, moving on to the organ and the organ system. So here we all know that in an organ, how is the organ formed? It is nothing but the cells. They come together to function, to perform a similar function wherein they form a tissue. These tissues, they form the organ, and the organs come together to perform a kind of a similar function wherein they form the organ system. So the tissues, they actually organize to form organs, and these organs in turn, they associate or come together to form the organ systems in the multicellular organisms. And each organ in our body is made up of more than one or more type of tissue. Say for example, if we had skin, epithelial tissue itself, it was made up of more than one kind of tissue, right? We had there were different types of, in epithelium itself there was simple tissue, there was compound tissue and all that. So that is how each organ in our body is made up of one or more types of different tissues. Say for example, in a heart, there are actually 4 types of tissues that are present. That is the epithelial tissue, the connective tissue, the muscular and the neural tissue. So a heart, it is covered by a layer which is nothing but the epithelial tissue, and below that is present all the muscles of the heart, or the cardiac muscles, the cells of the muscles, they are held together by connective tissues, and then they disconnected all these tissues together. They form the cardiac muscular tissues, and these muscular tissues contain neural cells or nervous system in them, right? That is why the beating of the heart or the transport or any signals that is sent to the brain, everything is through this neural system that is present, a neural tissue that is present in the heart. So all together, so all these tissues that we have studied so far, be it the epithelial tissue, be it the connective tissue, the muscular tissue, then the neural tissue, all these are present in almost all the organs that are there in a body. So the organ system or the organ consists of more than one or different types of tissues. It is made up of different types of tissues. So this is about the organ and the organ system. So with respect to organ and organ system, in the coming sessions we shall discuss about the anatomy, the morphology and the anatomy of three important animal species that have been taken into example, that is the earthworm, the cockroach and the frog. So in that you will study how the organ systems are present, what is there inside the body of the organism, and what is the function of each of these organs. So in that particular session you will study about the organ and organ system of those organisms. So I hope you understood this session well. In the coming session we shall discuss about the functions of the organ and organ system, that while studying the morphology and the anatomy of different organisms such as the cockroach, the earthworm and the frog. So we shall meet in the coming sessions. Thank you.